Next criteria is reproduction. Okay. Now what is reproduction? Reproduction is biological process which results in production of young ones which are similar or identical to their parents. Okay. That is a biological process which results in production of young ones which are similar or identical to their parent. Now, I have used two terms, similar and identical. If it is product of sexual reproduction, then individual is similar to their parent, and if it is product of asexual reproduction, then it is identical to its parent. Now, there are various means of asexual reproduction. Okay. Now we will discuss this one by one. First, budding. Example, yeast and Hydra. Now what happens during budding? Suppose there is a yeast and it wants to produce bud. First step will be wall in one region will become thin. So you will observe this kind of structure. In this region now wall is thin. Then nucleus will divide to form two daughter nuclei. So you will observe this kind of structure. Now, content of cell will exert pressure in the region where wall becomes thin. Okay? So you will observe this kind of structure. In this region there will be pressure. So as a result there is development of an outgrowth. Okay. Now one of the nucleus will migrate to this outgrowth. Okay. So you will observe this kind of structure. And now there is formation of cross wall. And now it will separate from the parent cell to form daughter cell, and your budding is complete. This is how budding takes place in case of yeast. Okay. Now, next is fragmentation. Example, filamentous green algae, Spirogyra. Second, moss protonema, and third is fungal hyphae. Okay? Okay? Now, all these have a structure like this. Now, this will break into several parts, and now each part will develop into new individual. This is how fragmentation takes place in these organisms. Now, what is moss protonema? When the spore of moss germinates, it forms a green filamentous creeping structure. We will study this in plant kingdom. This is known as moss protonema. And fungal hyphae is vegetative structure of fungi. Okay. So this is how fragmentation takes place. Next is third, sporulation. Sporulation means production of spore, as in case of bacteria, fungi, algae. What will happen? They produce either motile spore or non-motile spore. Motile spores such as zoospore, and non-motile spore like conidia, sprangiospore, etc. Okay. Next method of asexual reproduction is fission. Example is bacteria, yeast. Okay. Now, suppose bacteria is undergoing binary fission. But during this, what will happen? Suppose this is bacterial cell. This is DNA of bacterial cell. First step is a replication of DNA. That is, DNA will make its own copy. This is cell wall and this is cell membrane. Okay. Now, you will observe this. Now, what will happen? This bacterial cell membrane will show infolding, and that infolding is known as mesosome, and that mesosome gets attached to this replicated DNA. So, mesosome gets attached to a replicated DNA. Okay. Now what will happen? Elongation of bacterial cell takes place. So as elongation of bacterial cell takes place, these mesosome will get separated from one another, or they will move further apart, and along with this DNA which is attached to these mesosome also gets separated. So you will observe this kind of structure. Okay. Now invagination will take place. Okay. So as a result of invagination, wall will show ingrowth like this DNA, and finally this invagination will meet, and as a result this cell will divide to form two daughter cells, and your fission is complete. Okay. Next is regeneration. Next heading is, it is also method of asexual reproduction. Example, planaria. Now, structure of planaria is something like this. Okay. If it is divided into several parts, each part have ability to regenerate lost part. For example, suppose this is a tail. Now this tail will regenerate the lost part. This is a regeneration. And the last is a vegetative propagation. Vegetative propagation means vegetative plant part acts as propagule. Vegetative plant parts acts as propagule. So what are the vegetative plant parts? Like root, stem or leaf. These are three vegetative parts of plant. By using root, in case of tamarind, that is imli, and sweet potato, that is ipomia, new plant can be developed or propagated. Stem, rose, tea, these can be propagated by stem cutting. Leaf, bryophyllum, kalanchoe, these plants are propagated by leaf. Okay. So these are the various methods of asexual reproduction in organism. Now our next question is, can we consider reproduction as a defining property of being living? So reproduction cannot be considered as defining property of being living because of following regions. First region, in our society, childless couples are there. Although they are married, they fail to produce any offspring. So they are living, but they fail to produce any offspring. Second, worker honeybee is sterile. Worker honeybee is sterile. Third, in case of unicellular organism like bacteria, growth and reproduction is mutually inclusive event. That is, we are not able to distinguish between growth and reproduction in case of unicellular organism, although in case of multicellular it is mutually exclusive event. Now, fourth, mule and hinny are sterile. Mule is produced by crossing male donkey with female horse, and hinny is produced by crossing male horse with female donkey. Okay, so they are living but they fail to reproduce. Now, have you seen any non-living thing which can reproduce? No. So if something is reproducing, it must be living, but it is not necessary that every living thing should reproduce. So that's why we say reproduction is not a defining property of being living, but it is characteristic